Today I am sharing with you customizable gift ideas, and they are all under $10.
Today you're going to see 10 more reasons why I love using my Cricut and that the Cricut's not just for crafters. I'm going to be using the Cricut Explore 3 and I want to thank Cricut for sponsoring today's video.
I'm at the store right now. We're going to head in and I'm going to show you how easy it is to find items that you can customize, all for under $10.
How is it that I always find the squeaky cart? None of that matters. As soon as I spotted these beautiful marble coasters with a wooden case, I just think they are so beautiful, and for the price of $8.99, of course I snatched those up. I was inspired by this beautiful set of marble coasters that Pottery Barn currently has for $20. So I headed into Cricut Design Space and I hit text and typed in the letter B. Now, Cricut Design Space has so many different fonts, and sometimes I like to look at a couple different fonts side by side to really decide which one I want to go with. And that is exactly what I did here. So I put two side by side, and I decided to go with a blockier font. It reminded me a lot more of the Pottery Barn example. And so this is Aldine 721 is what I'm using here. I sized it to the size that I needed to fit onto my marble coasters, and now it was time for me to hit Make It. Because I'm using the Cricut Explore 3, I can do this either on a mat or off the mat if I'm using the smart vinyl. I'm actually going to use some smart vinyl, but on a mat, so I selected on a mat. Now I need this 4 different times because I have 4 coasters, so I go to the top and I go ahead and I up the quantity to 4. I hit apply, and now I also need to mirror this, but I want to space out my B's first because I want to have a little bit of extra room in between them. I space them out. I hit mirror because anytime you're going to iron on, you want to make sure you hit mirror, and then I can go ahead and continue. Now you will see once I have selected the material, which I'm doing the smart iron on, it reminds me again at the top, is it mirrored? And it also reminds me to make sure that my shiny side is down. Once you finish cutting your vinyl, go ahead and weed it, getting rid of any of the extra vinyl that you don't need. You're going to find that iron-on vinyl is actually really easy to weed because the vinyl itself is not sticky at all. It's very rubbery. It's the backing that is sticky, which is great because that is what holds it in place while you are heat setting it onto your project. After you finish weeding it, now it's time to cut those letters apart and apply them to the marble coasters. I'm using the mini heat press to do this, and I looked for different tutorials online to see if I could find anyone that has ever applied iron-on onto a marble of any form, and I couldn't find anything. So this is me attempting it for the first time without any sort of tutorial instruction, and I found that I got the best results when I left it on there for about a 4-minute period. I just kept double checking to make sure that the iron-on material was actually adhered to the marble before I removed the backing. Now the stone does stay hot for a while, so be very careful even as you are removing the backing. I went in with my little pokey tool to help me get that backing off, but doesn't this look absolutely beautiful? If you want to make sure that this is on there permanently, you can always apply an epoxy on top of it, and that would keep this forever. I also saw this beautiful marble cutting board while I was at the store, and it was only $6.99, so this would be another great option as well. And if marble's not your thing, look at all these wooden cutting boards, so many different options. I found this one that caught my eye. I thought it was so cute, and it was only $7.99, so I had to bring it home. So this time in Cricut Design Space, I went into shapes and I selected a circle to use as a guide to help me keep the size that I wanted while I am designing what I want to put on the cutting board. I know a cute little couple, they just got married, and I'm actually using this as a wedding gift for them. So to begin with, I went into text, I typed in their names, and then I headed up to fonts to select a font that I wanted to use. I'm actually going to be using 2 different fonts to do this. So once I knew which font I was using for their names, I went up to the top where it says curve, and you can curve up or down. I'm curving down, of course, for the top of this, so I get it to a curve. Then I go to the right and I hit duplicate because I wanted it to be the same font for the bottom. I type in their wedding date, and this time I'm curving that one to go up. After that, I continue to play with the size and the curve until I have them sized and adjusted to where I need them, and then it was time for me to fill in the center, and of course I'm doing the last name, and I did that with a completely different font. So I typed it out, again, went up to fonts, chose the font that I wanted, and sized and centered that right in the middle of that circle. And then I no longer need the circle at all. I could get rid of it, selected everything, attached it because I want it to all cut out at one time, and it was ready for me to make it. I go ahead and select on a mat because I'm going to be using some scrap smart vinyl that I have. This is a great way to use that. Make sure that you mirror the image because we are going to be ironing this on. Once I have that all set up, I can continue. I do select the smart iron on vinyl and it is ready for me to cut. Anytime you weed more delicate vinyl, you do want to make sure that you're just a tad bit more careful. It does take a little bit more time, but other than that, it weeds exactly the same. And when you iron it on, it will attach permanently. You're just going to place it wherever it is that you want it. And I'm going to be using some heat transfer tape just to make sure that it stays exactly where I place it. So I go ahead and take a few tiny pieces. I always like to start with a larger piece and just cut it down to smaller pieces. Place it on there. And again, I'm using my mini easy press to apply this. It actually applies very easily. It only takes about 30 seconds. I just take it around and you'll notice when it has melted into the wood because the transfer tape actually starts kind of peeling away. So once it gets to that point, I just peel it off and this is done. I loved how this turned out. I don't think this is a gift for just newlyweds. I will definitely be making more of these. Okay, I could not resist this marble rolling pin. I just thought it was beautiful, and for $9.99, I had to grab it. And you don't just have to use iron-on when you're dealing with wood. You can also use permanent vinyl, which is what I have here. I went ahead and cut out, just roll with it. I thought that was super cute. I went ahead, cut that out, weeded it, and applied it to the transfer tape, and now I'm applying that straight onto the wood. And I think that this is darling, but it's kind of like a little peekaboo. You only know it's there when you remove the rolling pin. How darling is this? So much fun. When I saw these oil and vinegar jars, I had to snatch them up for $3.99. I thought they were too good of a deal to just leave behind. In Design Space, I've already created 2 rectangles and I'm typing out the words oil and vinegar, and I'm choosing a font that I think will look great on these jars. Again, this time I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be creating a stencil and I'll show you how. So once I have the words typed out, I place them on top of the rectangle and then I go down to the bottom right and I hit the word slice. Now watch what happens when I remove the word, I drag it up and then I move the rectangle. Now you can see that the word is cut out. I have now created a stencil. I do the same thing with the word oil and it is all ready for me to hit make it. For this kind of project, I always like to use removable vinyl. I find it the easiest to work with when I plan on removing it after I use it as a stencil. This is what it will look like after you are done cutting and weeding it. It's a reverse of what you would normally do. So this time you would weed out the letters or the image or whatever it is you're going to do because we are using it as a stencil. Go ahead and apply your transfer tape and then you're going to peel it back, making sure that you get the entire stencil, including the inside of the letters or the design parts that you want. Once you apply it onto the glass, you want to make sure that your design edges are laying flat. If around the rest of the stencil is bubbling, that is completely fine. It won't matter. You just want to make sure the edges of the stencil itself are nice and adhere so that you won't get any bleed. Then you can go ahead and remove your transfer tape. Now it is time to apply the etching cream. I'm using Armored Etch and a brush. If you want to see a whole video on how I do this, I will link that above for you. It goes through a lot more specific details. But quickly, all I do is I take the brush and I run it over it. I give it about 3 minutes as I brush it. After that, I take it to the sink. I rinse it off. From there, you go ahead and remove your vinyl. And now you can see your beautifully etched glass. I really think these are so pretty and you can take them up a notch and even add names to them or whatever you want to do to customize them. Another idea is to customize glasses. I actually love these stemless ones. They were only $5.99, but if you really like stemmed ones instead, that is great, whether you drink wine or you like to drink them with water like I do. I did the exact same thing, but this time I really personalized it. This is actually a teacher gift. So I got it all set up, have a set of 4 ready to hand to her, and I think they are absolutely stunning. You can also personalize glass containers. Now this one was only $2.99, would be great for someone that takes their lunch or likes leftovers. I did something like that with this casserole dish. I absolutely think this is great for someone that always has parties to go to. I'll link the video where I shared that one. Another idea is to snag frame signs, especially when the center is made of wood, because you can easily flip them and save yourself a ton of money, like I did with this one that's in my laundry room or this other one that I have sitting on my mantle. Both of these were flip signs. I don't know if you're like me, but towels are one of those things that you can never have too many of because they always seem to get gross and dirty and you need new ones. So it makes a great gift idea. I love this set of 4 and the price for only $5.99, I knew I had to grab them. This time in Design Space, I'm keeping it super easy. I'm going ahead and I am just typing in the letter B, and then I head up to fonts and I type in Fresh Brewed. I like this font. It has a little bit more of a masculine look to me, but I really liked it. So I go ahead, select that one, and then I size this. I really wanted it to be rather large on these towels so it would stand out and not get washed away. Once I did that, it was time for me to hit Make It. I do need 4 Bs because I have 4 towels that I am using. So I need to go up to where it says numbers. I go ahead and up it to 4, hit apply. Now I need 2 in one color and 2 in another color. So I adjust my Bs so I can separate 2 to cut together and 2 to cut separately. I'm going to show you that in just 1 second. Then I need to mirror it because I'm ironing these on. Now I can continue. I go ahead from here and I'm going to select my iron-on material. As you can see, I have the black vinyl at the top and the white at the bottom in the exact same places where I placed the Bs on the mat that was on the computer screen. This way, I only had to place the vinyl on once. It'll cut all at one time and I don't have to fuss with loading the mat more than one time. It just saves me time in the end. After you are finished cutting it, of course, you're going to go ahead and weed it, and then it's time to prep your fabric and get it ready for you to apply the decal. So go ahead and take your heat press and put it on the fabric for about 5 seconds, and it's all ready and has wicked away some moisture. Place that decal down where you want it and then apply your heat press on. Cricut.com has a complete heat press guide for you if you have any questions about this. If you're using a mini heat press like I am, you are going to have to move it around to get the entire decal to make sure that the entire thing is adhered to the towel. But once it's done, you can pull that transfer tape away and you have a beautiful customized towel. I absolutely love this. I saw these hot pads at the same time I saw the towels and I had to snatch them. I really love the leather on them. So I added the same B on them. I just shrunk it down a little bit and I think they look so good. Now this dish was only $2.99 and I thought it was really cute and I wanted to do something a little bit more festive with it. In images this time, I decided not to type anything in and I wanted to see what Cricut had on this homepage part of their image section, and as I was scrolling I saw this tree and I thought it was beautiful, so I added that to my canvas. And then on the right hand side you see all these eyes. Well, if you click on it, the eye shuts and then you start noticing that the layers will disappear. Well, I closed off every layer except for just the outline of the tree. I just wanted the one single simple black outline of the Christmas tree. I then unlocked it and adjusted it so that it would fit the size of the platter. I was going to add Merry Christmas originally, but some of the lines were a little too skinny after I fussed with it. And if they're too skinny and someone's washing this platter, I knew that they would rip and it wasn't worth it in the end. So once I got it cut, I went ahead and I weeded it. I absolutely think this tree is so cute. Once I got it weeded, I did cut that Merry Christmas off. I added the transfer tape on top, peeled that away, and then I applied that straight to the platter. I think this is stunning. It would make a great little platter to put like candies on, or it can be a decor piece like it is here, and someone can put it like on a shelf or something like that. So many options, so cute. Jars are another great thing to find, or you may already have them laying around. This one was great because it had a wooden lid. So this time, instead of etching glass, I wanted to just use some permanent vinyl, and I cut out 2 different colors, a border in green and her name in black. Using some transfer tape, I applied each of these to the jar and filled it up with some candy. Absolutely easy gift idea. This one is always a winner.
Wow, can you believe all of those were under $10? If you want to see some more great Cricut ideas, check out this video right here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.